The 950. And now, Houston Real Estate Radio.
Welcome back to Houston Real Estate Radio. I'm your host, Shannon Register. Thanks for joining us this Sunday afternoon. I'm going to be talking this last segment about tenant-landlord relationships. A lot of interesting stories and things to talk about there. If you have thought about becoming a landlord, you need to stay tuned for this segment. We've got some great information coming up for you. I want to remind you, don't forget to spring forward with your clocks today. Do need to reset your clocks tonight, because we are springing forward 1 hour. And if you have a question, you can always call us at 281-882-8088, and we'll answer your questions right here on the air next weekend. You can leave those questions anytime during the week, and we'll be happy to answer those on the air for you. We do record all of our videos. Today, we have Jesse Brewer Skyping into the show, and you can watch this video at HoustonRealEstateRadio.com. We do record all of our segments and put them out there. So if you missed part of it or you heard something and you want to go back and hear that again, you can always find us at HoustonRealEstateRadio.com. So Jesse Brewer is joining us via Skype, and he's calling from an area real close to Cincinnati, Ohio. So it's a little chilly up there, huh, Jesse?
It's not warm, no, not like you all get.
All right, he owns a brokerage that does mainly property management and investments, and he's written a great book. He's written several books, but the one that I want to talk about today is called Tenants Uncommon. And I guess, Jesse, the main question is, can anybody be a landlord?
No. Let's saying not all men are created equal. Well, not all landlords are created equal. So I guess anybody could be a landlord. Will they be an effective and a good landlord is the question.
Yeah, and what makes an effective, good landlord?
Well, at the end of the day, it's a business, and you have to treat your property as a business, even though you're dealing with people and their homes and the human element. And there's certainly, you need to have some room for some compassion. But at the end of the day, you have to understand that it is a business, and you have to treat it as such.
So the book is written kind of in 4 parts. It's kind of a 4-part book, and it's interesting the titles that you gave it. Well, first of all, the title of the book is Tenants Uncommon, so I definitely want to get into what inspired the book and what prompted you to title it that. But then I also want to talk about the different parts of the book. So go ahead and tell us about the title.
Well, it's a play on words, because the way you can take property up here and title is called Tenants in Common, or Tenants in Common. In where we're at in the Ohio and Kentucky markets, one of the ways you can take a title to a property if 2 people have a property is called Tenants in Common. So I took that word because there's nothing common about the tenant stories, and just took the N and made it an un and put it for this title of this book, and it was just kind of catchy.
It's a fun reading book. I mean, you can just breeze through it, and it's great because it lays out great stories that you've seen and you've gone through kind of in your adventures of being a landlord. And I think that some people, they think it's a great income stream, and they think they'll go buy some properties and put some tenants in them. But it's interesting to read your stories. It's not always that easy.
Correct. No, you're exactly right. It's not always as cut and dry. If it were, everybody would be doing it.
That's right. That's true. So what do you recommend to people when they tell you, oh, yeah, no, I think I want to buy some investment properties and rent them out? What do you recommend?
Well, I mean, it depends on who the person is, if they have a job or what their career and their life situation is or what their background is. But a lot of people, I recommend find a good property manager, because if you don't need them today, you may need them in a couple, down the road once you realize this business isn't for you.
Right. So you definitely recommend that people use property management companies versus managing them themselves.
Correct.
Okay. So the different parts of the book are interesting. You've got the first one is schemes and scams. You do see a lot of scams as a landlord, don't you?
I really do. I mean, It's a new one every minute. I mean, I think if these people would put as much work into the scamming as they would into something honest, it'd be a lot more productive.
Yeah, I really like the lessons learned that that you share in the book. Part 2 is I See Crazy People. Tell us about that.
There's just a lot of different people that I when I was originally writing the book, I had a lot of short little quips that weren't really full enough for a full story, but they were just off the wall crazy things that make you scratch and be like, what the heck is that? And so the publisher recommended putting it into a section that's I See Crazy People and talking about like the dim bulbs chapter and this, that, and the other, just stuff that was just like, you have to scratch your head and say, is that really happening?
So for the people out there listening that haven't read the book, give us an example of what you're talking about, something crazy that you've seen over the years.
Oh, well, this like what I'm talking about this chapter here, people would had one woman call in and, several times the office claiming the house was haunted. Mm-hmm. This is another part of the chapter. I actually wrote about a different chapter of this book, the haunted house chapter. And she was just going on and on and on how the house was possessed, the house was haunted, and I, didn't know what to do. And she paid her rent. She was on some form of assistance for mental illness, but I didn't know this at the time. So we go down there, and I had and checked it out and didn't see anything out of the ordinary, but she still insisted this place was haunted. So what we did was I had a Native American maintenance fellow working for us, and he had a bunch of like tribal garments, this, that, and the other. So he went down there and pretend to perform an Indian, I guess an exorcism on the property for her. Threw some dust and rocks around and did all kinds of various things like that. And she never called again. She still lives there.
It worked.
I guess it worked.
I love that. All right. The landlord's worst moments is part 3. Tell us one of your worst moments being a landlord, because you list several in the book.
Probably parts of getting water bills for $3,000 is some of the nasty move outs that we've seen. Everyone has a horror story, like what's the worst you've seen. I've had one of the things that was really bad is we had a tenant that we had evicted out of this property, and he actually poured Quikrete down the plumbing drains.
Oh,
and
wow.
It was an urban legend. People say, what if? Now, in my career, we managed, several hundred properties. It's only happened one time, but it was enough.
How do you fix that?
You had to take the plumbing out and replumb it.
Wow. So there's definitely some, but you can fight back. Part 4 is about fighting back.
I like to fight back, and we get creative when we can. We try to track these tenants down. We try to take them to small claims court, give them bad references. We do what we can to fight back when they try to screw us over.
And one of the things that you recommend in the book is that if you're going to be a landlord, get as much information about the people before they move in as possible. To me, that's the main thing. Whether you're using property management or doing it on your own, to me, that's the most important thing, is those background checks and knowing who's living there. And
one thing we've done, too, is we've incorporated social media into that. And so we'll track, we have a Facebook page. We become Facebook friends with these people. And that way, because it's amazing, when they skip out on you, when you rent, because the most common thing to do is going to skip out on you when you rent. That's the most common thing.
Right.
So what you do is, it'd be amazing. They put, in my new place, loving it, or started my new job on Facebook. And we've actually successfully tracked people down, have gotten them served and gotten them court, and have gotten our money back that they've owed us because we've tracked them down through their Facebook postings.
Love Facebook. All right, Jesse Brewer, he wrote Tenants Uncommon. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to spring forward 1 hour tonight, and you can join us on Facebook to chat during the week. And if you have a real estate question, call us at 281-882-8088. Join us back here next week at 1 o'clock for more of Houston Real Estate Radio.